could just stand here and let this unroll out of my hand right into the machine. We have two types of feeds, controlled, and what's the opposite of control? Out of control, right? So we want to be in control all the time. So we have a controlled feed, is us holding it, and uncontrolled feed is just letting it go in on its own. Okay, so we want to be in control the whole time. The more we're in control, the more good work we got coming out the back. Okay, goal is what? 100%. 100% good work. We do not accept scrap. You are making scrap, we need to make a change. Printers are making scrap, we need to make a change. It's just wasting money. Okay, this is such a high dollar industry. Everything that we handle is a lot of money. And we just have to be careful of what we do. Okay, questions so far? It runs with dust. It's just cleaning itself. I think unless it runs up. I think it does.
That's odd. You should all be in here.
It just does that sometimes.
It just does that every once in a while?
Yeah, it just checks the printing.
You must just.
These things don't work good unless they're running.
Mhm.
The more they run, the better they are. So when they sit there and the nozzles are starting to dry, the system is going to go through a maintenance. It's going to just basically just sucking ink out, wasting ink into a container that you got to throw away after. So the more you use them, the better. So if you just run something, instead of letting them sit there, run something, anything, and it'll work better for you. Okay, now I'm going to start going through the machine for you. We have two supply shafts on the top here, 1 and a 2. This will allow you to do a couple things. We could put a gloss and a mat on at the same time. We could put a gloss and an adhesive, any combination of two films. But what I like to do is when we're running big jobs, is that when you're starting to run out of a roll of film, you could put another one on the bottom and continue by attaching the new roll to the end of the old roll. You know how when you run out of film, you got to stop and then you got to go open the box up and everything. You can do all that ahead of time while the machine is running. And keep in mind, you got a production machine here. It runs automatic, 400 feet at a time. And you may not have that big of a job to do all that, but what I'm pointing out to you is that's what it's meant to do. Okay? Now, we have what they call auto grip. So that when they slide a core on and anything that moves left or right, whether it's wound adhesive in or adhesive out, it's not going to make a difference. It's going to lock in either way. Once it locks in, you can't move it left or right. You got to loosen it and then you can move it. The auto grip. The shafts are interchangeable. Top, bottom, left, right, front, rear, doesn't make a difference. You put all the shafts in a corner and take one out, it fits anywhere. Okay, and you also notice that we got tape measures on here now. Okay, so if we're running 38-inch film, we're probably going to be at 18 on each shaft. Okay, real easy to line up. My other little trick is that once we get the roll of film on here, so that we don't have to keep looking at the tape measure, we're just going to put a magic marker on, a Sharpie line on there. So every time we run 51 inch, we're going to go to that Sharpie line. Real easy to load. Okay, we have a take up on the front. This is for taking release liner off. Okay, and then we have another one on the bottom for taking release liner off on the bottom or holding a roll of images. This is where we would put our roll of images if you had to do a whole roll. For instance, that the printer is going to wind up the whole roll onto a 3-inch core. We would take that 3-inch core off of here, load it to the machine, feed it through, set it at speed 2, go do something else for 20 or 30 minutes. It'll run itself and wind it up. Okay, yeah. And we also have a shaft on the back for bottom. With a total of 4 supply shafts. Your choice, you can mix them up, match them any way you want, but a total of 4. Alright, now, we have a top temperature control, bottom temperature control. Every time you come into the room and you turn the machine on, it's going to read room temperature. 72 degrees and 73, about what it is in here. Okay? That's how you tell calibration. If this is reading 100 and you just turned it on, and it says only 72 in here, you got a problem. Now, basically to change this, you have set point. You have up arrow and a down arrow. And you can see that I have, I don't know if you can see from back there, but it's set at 100. Okay? Pressure sensitive films. You have what they call silvering. Silvering, an explanation of silvering is when you take a scotch tape off a roll and you put it down on the thing. and then you take your fingernail and you go over the Scotch tape, and your fingernail makes the Scotch tape clear up more than it did when you pressed with your finger. Silvering. There's little particles of air that are trapped between the adhesive and everything. All that really is that the adhesive has a texture. The texture of the adhesive and the texture of the piece of paper, and it's trapping air in there. What we found out is that if I heat the roller up to 100 degrees, just get the chill off of the rollers, make the temperature warm. It softens the adhesive up enough to get the silvering out. It makes a better flow. And a good analogy is that I'm going to take a piece of white bread and I take butter out of the freezer and I try to coat that piece of white bread with the butter, and it's just about almost impossible to do that. But if I heat the butter up a little bit, it goes on that slice of bread nice and smooth. Huh? Same type of thing. That's what the roller does to the adhesive with pressure sensitive. Pressure sensitive is meant to work cold, so that's the first thing you do. If you're having trouble with silvering because of the texture of the image paper, then you're going to turn the heat on to 100, and that'll eliminate it. Okay, so it's a little bit. You don't need heat, but it's there if you need it. Okay. All right. So top and bottom, and then we have heat on and heat off. That turns the heat on. That turns the heat off.